good afternoon, morning, or night, whenever you're listening to this podcast. I'm Pev, and co hosting with me tonight is going to be Con Frunken and Galaxy. Welcome back to the Swarmcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking and interviewing different guests about their thoughts on the different strategies and metagames in Murder 2 and Murder 4. Murder 2 and Murder 4 and the whole Murder series has been an essential part of VR Chat's growth. It's been around for many years, created by Jar, and is enjoyed by many VR Chat and Swarm members alike. Now, there are many different strategies that have evolved out of Murder, some more joking, some more serious, but we're going to be seeing how each individual Swarm member plays Murder and how they think they can win. So, Con, why don't you kick it off with what is your personal strategy that you like to use in Murder when you're actually trying to win?
Personally, when I'm the detective, I really hate passive detectives, so I constantly go around. I'm making sure I'm looking at everybody, I'm saying hi to everybody, and I'm shooting all the bad guys. As a bystander, I know that I'm almost pretty much defenseless, so I'll go in, grab some weapons, or grab some clues, hopefully get a weapon to defend myself with. And as a murderer, I like to shake it up every once in a while. Sometimes I'll just go for a speed strat where I see how fast I can grab a knife and get everybody dead. And sometimes I'll try and play it safe and quiet and get 5 clues so that I can shoot everybody down or blow everybody up. Because honestly, people like to talk a lot and people get in big groups. So having a grenade as a murderer can kind of be useful in the swarm.
Now, it's quite a large gamble, in my opinion, allowing
Mm-hmm.
lots of other bystanders too, because there's tons of other people in the game. Chances of you being the first one to acquire a weapon through clues alone are quite low. So, what do you think about the other bystanders and weapons like that? Is that to your advantage?
Sometimes it is because it does create more tension. Personally, I think I'm pretty fast when it comes to clue searching. Not as fast as some people, because I've seen people get it within like the first 5 seconds of a round, either because they got lucky or because they're just really that good. Uh, but personally, letting that time pass by can also build tension. Let the detective get antsy, and let the other players sort of be suspicious.
Right
All right.
on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Swarm members, make sure to use that against Khan when playing against him in Murder.
Yes, yes.
Galaxy, why don't you go ahead and share your winning strats?
All right. Well, for my winning strat, I usually just go as fast as possible because that seems to work every single time. Stunning everyone there and just wiping everyone out in one fell swoop. So,
Now, what if you're the detective? How do you combat the murder?
when you're detective, there's really no better strategy than just shooting everyone you meet. You just have to make sure you're alone so no one else grabs the gun from you, Trey. And that's basically the only way to win as the detective is shoot everyone. You really can't play very just passively as the detective. You need to basically shoot everyone you see because the murderer is not gonna give you a second thought before killing you.
I mean, what if the murderer tries to use that against you? Per se, you shoot someone thinking no one is around, and then, since you can't pick up the gun, get stabbed. It seems like that strategy would not work most of the time.
You gotta make sure to lock the doors. In that way you'll have enough time to shoot them, grab the gun again, and shoot the murderer if they're waiting on the other side of the door.
Well, you heard it here, folks. If Galaxy is your detective, you better run. Speaking of Trey,
Exactly.
she is actually our first lovely guest of tonight, Trey. Well, get on in here, get into the podcast for us.
Could you please turn your mic up a bit, Pev?
Of course.
So yeah, Trey, as Galaxy did point out, you do tend to be a little bit more aggro when we get into murder or any game essentially when we get to stab, blow each other up, etc. you do tend to be the most aggro. What are your thoughts on metagames for murder? We'd be fascinated with the inner machinations of your terrible, terrible little mind.
I appreciate the compliments, Shifty. But honestly, if I'm near the detective's room, I just try to go for the gun as quickly as I can. Or if I'm the murderer, I just grab the knife from the upstairs bedroom and try to go for them as fast as possible. There's
Now,
nothing
Trey,
more to
why
it
do
than that.
you Trey, you are criminally known for stealing the gun. Why would you do that? I understand it's to acquire the gun, but think of the experience that you're robbing from detectives who just don't have fast reaction time.
Um, well, here's my logic to it. If they don't have fast reaction time, then they're obviously not going to be able to shoot the murderer when he comes around a corner or something like that. So I might as well take it into my own hands, see if I can do better.
Well, I guess that's true for winning the game, but you can't argue with the fact that some detectives might have been quite disappointed when you robbed them of their role.
And it's also funny, that too.
Ah.
Well, I could argue with that, but will not. Thank you, Trey. Play the. Is there an applause sound effect out there? What? Where's Cuckoo?
Speaking of, speaking,
Oh boy. Okay.
and our other murder expert, Mr. Radio Host.
Yeah, too short for this.
Hey,
Good evening,
Radio, how's it
everyone.
going?
Quite fine, and yourself?
Very well.
Good, good. All right. Basically, for strategy for murder, if I'm actually trying to win and not have fun, if I'm strategically trying to win, usually I just, well, if you've ever played murder with me, you know I just grab the knife and start stabbing everyone right away, and announce it right at the beginning. But if I'm strategically trying to win, I would keep myself muted so as not to make any noise. I would stealthily kill people by isolating them, making sure that doors are locked, and then setting traps out around the place, and sitting around corners to stab them if they come across, and dodging bullets thanks to latency. Now, for as a detective, latency plays a huge key when I'm detective, because even when I'm stabbed, I have about 5 to 10 second gap time period to actually shoot the murderer. That happens. That's about it, actually. I grab the gun, I walk around, keep track of where people are, and if I get stabbed, I use that to my advantage. I use my latency to my advantage. And let's see, for bystander, um, well, bystander, I'm either talking with the people around or I'm running around trying to find the clues to get a gun or some form of weaponry so I am feel more competent, especially if Trey is the detective or has the gun, because I'm probably going to die in that period.
Right on. Thank you for sharing, Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been definitively said, if you want to be an epic murder gamer, get a quest. You will win. Thank you, Radio, for being on the podcast.
All right, it was nice. Thanks for having me.
All right, our next guest is going to be the lovely Russian. Get on in here, buddy, and probe your mind for some murder. We're going to switch it up a little bit with the questions here and start off with Russian. We all have our different murder strategies, but what is your biggest pet peeve in murder? What just drives you crazy when you see other players doing it?
Don't really have one.
Well, I suppose that's quite good. You can enjoy the game. Is there anything you particularly love doing?
Solving Kaiser.
Okay. And Russian, how exactly do you win a game of murder?
When I'm the model, I usually like to pick up the knife knife and hide it behind my wings and hope and pray to God my body don't decide to break itself and keep the knife hidden and just poke people with it in the name of Kaiser.
So do you just go murdering right away, or do you wait a specific amount of time?
Depends how I'm feeling. If I want to go look for clues and grab a gun instead. Well, yeah. It mostly depends how I'm feeling.
Now, personally, I do have like a really big pet peeve when it does come to murder, and that's finding the murderer through gun dropping. So, like, when the detective drops the gun and he's like, okay, everybody pick up the gun, I frankly just hate that.
Con, I notice you're looking in my direction a little bit more than normal, and I personally favor gun dropping just because it forces the game to speed up upon itself. In my opinion, if the murderer should not let the game get to that caught up point, and if it is at that point, it means they're taking a little bit too long and should push forward.
No.
It's similar to doing tasks in Among Us. It's the thing that keeps the game rolling. It forces the murderers to make moves.
Mm-hmm. I totally get that, but I've just played a few more. I am looking in your general direction, not because you do it the most frequently, in my opinion. You're probably the most frequent Swarm member to do that the most. You do it, and it does bother me when it does happen, but I go along with it. But I've seen that happen in public lobbies like almost immediately as soon as the game starts, where somebody will just throw the gun on the ground and go, "Hey, all right, everybody pick up the gun."
I suppose there is a line to draw between tactical and but fun versus just boring and too meta.
Yeah.
I used to be quite familiar with
Anyhow,
that strat as well. Used to do it a lot, but it just gets boring after a while because, like Khan says, it just ruins the fun of the game, the mystery.
Russia, what are your thoughts on the gun dropping?
It's alright to do in late game, but not like the beginning of the game.
Now
That's
that
fair.
you've honestly, now that you've explained your thoughts to me, I think it might be a little ease on my conscience for it is, but I'm still going to vehemently deny being able to do it whenever I see it happening.
Well, just don't be surprised if the next episode of Bottom Gear ends quite tragically. Thank you, Russian, for the show. Cue the music. Not my first choice of music, but that's fine. Our next guest is going to be the one, the only Sans.
Well, let's bring
Not to
him
be
in.
confused with Sans Undertale. This is Sans Swarm. Sans, welcome.
Welcome,
Now,
welcome.
just to mix it up a little bit too, again, tonight we played Town of Salem, and I pulled out my copy of Miller's Hollow to give everybody roles tonight. Sans joined a little bit late, so I had to add a special role on his behalf, which he did end up getting, which was the Wolfhound, which meant that at the beginning of the game, he got to choose whether or he was a normal person or a werewolf just at the start of the game. And he did choose to be a werewolf. And so continuing on with our metagaming, what was your thinking behind that? Was it just, I want to be a werewolf? Or was it like, was there anything deeper to it?
Usually, whenever I play any sort of games where it involves me to be either a villain or a hero, I usually have most of the time I have better luck. Being the villain, as 90% of the time I can do whatever the hell I want and win. Of course, I wasn't lucky this time because I should never trust my gut feeling. But yeah, so
For
most
context,
times.
the between the four werewolves, there was one white werewolf whose objective it was to eat the other werewolves, props to Trey for winning as the white werewolf and getting all the other werewolves dead. So it did end up that Sans actually trusted Trey to betray the other werewolves, as I allowed them to eat each other every night if they so desired because of the white werewolf. So yeah, just just a wrong gut feeling today.
Yeah, I never usually trust my feeling. So try and run more into more of my detective skills, which are always on point most of the time. You can't really defeat me when it comes to detectiving. Like so.
Well,
Hmm?
I mean, to be fair, in your defense, as far as detectiving through social skills and social interactions, body language in VR chat is incredibly hard to pick up on just because all the nuances of facial expressions and everything like that are completely stripped. So, would you agree that it's a little harder to utilize that?
Yes, that is. That's why whenever it is harder to utilize body movement, I try and utilize more into vocalization, hearing how they sound and how they speak, what they say. Talking to them, communicating them language wise would really help as well, which is also what I do, um, like, I guess, in the points of, like, murder, whenever I'm detective. I watch how people run around. I talk to some people. That is the same as when I'm innocent. I either talk to people or sometimes just hide because whenever my brother's detective, I just hide because I cannot trust him. Yeah. But overall, I just in VR chat in general, I utilize watching what they say, how they say it, and the tone and level of voice they put out. Like if they're confident in what they're speaking, quiet, or such. It works pretty well.
Yes, when people are
Right on, you heard it
talking, you
here,
can
folks.
seem to notice patterns such as being less descriptive that really gives it away, or just overall you can kind of sense it if you really listen in. Very important skill for VR chat.
Well, detective games in VR chat, at least. Sometimes when it comes to VR chat worlds, I prefer to not listen and remove myself from that world. Be careful in public worlds, everyone. Sans, thanks for coming on the show, buddy.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Our next guest is going to be none other than the lovely Lava Soldier.
Get over here.
So, Lava Soldier, we play murder a lot, and I'm sure you've joined us for plenty of our murder games. What is your opinion on how competitive people should be in that type of scenario? Murder can be played casually, murder can be played very sweatily. What is your favorite way that you and others can play that game?
Well, in my opinion, I believe you should have fun when you play games like that. I believe playing the role of what you were given is the funnest thing you can do. That's typically why when I become murderer, you see me completely become a sociopath.
Really get into the
I
mindset.
just embrace the role. I get into the mindset.
Now, what are your views on people who kill themselves as murderers because they don't want to be the murderer?
I think that you should at least give it a little bit of a go, but I can understand if people don't want to be the murderer.
Lava, what is your favorite weapon of the Murder 4 arsenal?
Shotgun.
Well, I would agree with you there. It is very fun to hold, wield, and use, though in my opinion,
Yes.
it's kind of funny how it shoots just like the other gun. There's no actual shotgun spread on it or anything like that. I get it's a quest compatible jar world and everything like that, but it just strikes me in a funny way.
I think it would
Wouldn't you
break the
agree?
game if that thing had buckshot in it.
Yeah, I guess a balanced shotgun is necessary for a good game.
To be honest, I've been thinking it's just been using slug rounds this entire time.
Well,
No,
just like
personally, I do. Oh,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Con.
personally, I do love getting a good grenade off. I've done that a total of, I can count that on one hand. I've gotten 3 good grenades off in my entire time playing Murder.
That's not a lot. I'll be honest with you for how much Murder is
It
played.
is it is not, but once you do get it, it is probably the biggest pride that you will ever have, knowing that you successfully, which was one of them, as I successfully took out the murderer once with a grenade, which was because I was holding it and they didn't realize it and they stabbed me and that set off the grenade. And then the other 2 times I was actually able to throw the grenade into a group and take out probably either half or all of the rest of the people in the lobby.
Now, what would you say their reaction was when you threw it at them?
One of the times will always stick with me. I threw it in, and they just kept talking for like a solid 5 seconds, and I believe Pev was there, and I hear him go, "Is that a grenade?" or something along those lines. And then they all blow up, which I had to stop and laugh at for a solid like 10 seconds.
That
I think I
sounds
was there for
hilarious.
that. I think I was there when
It was
Steve
my
did that.
very unique revenge against him for uh as I like to call yoinking me. I make this reference a lot. One of my favorite memories ever of not only being in the swarm but of murder is I'm in murder. I'm looking through the drawers in the garage. I hear Pev run up behind me and go yoink,
Ah,
and I tell him, "Oh, I thought that yoink was you yoinking a knife into my back." And he says, "No, this is," and he just kills me with a knife.
wonderful, wonderful experience.
Ah,
Now, do
love
you
Murder.
remember that experience?
I do remember the instance, maybe not as vividly as Khan, but I do.
That's why I love being in the swarm so much, is because like everybody's got these weird independent memories, and you can hear the story. I've said this story probably like 12 times, and every time I tell it, Pev always laughs. So, just
It is
the
a happy
thing that
memory.
you can have these stories, and they're unique to you, and you can just sort of say them, and it'll get at least one person in the room being like, "Oh yeah, I remember that. It was a great time."
Now, going off of murders, what are your opinions on the murders before Murder 4?
Personally, I've never played in a proper game mode of any of them. I've only ever played in Murder 4 since I got on November of 2020. Murder 4 has been the only thing that was active.
I've been around since the original Murder, and I will say, while the
Same.
new Murders are fun, mechanically speaking, and everything like that, my heart will always lie with Murder One. That's where I really found VR chat and played many hours of Murder One, just getting immersed into the game itself. I met many fun people, many fun public lobbies. That was back in the so-called probably early days of VR chat now where all that happened. And it was just a wonderful experience really seeing some of the best things that this game could offer. That's really before a lot of the toxicity or anything like that entered the VR chat space as a greater whole. Back when Uganda Knuckles was still a meme, really. And those are some of my
Mhm.
best
Oh God,
experiences.
don't
So
remind me
original
of
Murder is
Uganda
my favorite.
Knuckles. Hey Pev, I gotta ask you, what was the worst one out of the four? Because in my opinion, it was the third one.
I think it's universally agreed upon that Murder 3 is the worst one. It was a good novel concept, and trust me, I've had some very fun memories running around Murder 3, but the game design surrounding Murder 3, just the expansiveness of the map, the dark atmosphere, making things like the guns and the weapons not contrast well with the environment, so it's hard to see what weapons people are holding. It just doesn't work. It was a good idea, don't get me wrong, but in actuality, it just did not pan out. I'm hoping we can get a future Murder 3-esque remake with the same sort of atmosphere from Jar, but definitely not Murder.
That explains a lot for me, because I'm like, why is the atmosphere for 2 just so like realistic and gritty? Meanwhile, 4 is just so like toony sometimes, you know? Like, because I feel like whenever we go into 4, we fit right in. But when we go to like 2, I feel a little out of place because we've got all these bright colors and everything, and I feel like maybe we should be in press suits or something. But when we go to 4, I'm like, oh, we fit right in here.
Murder 4
Right on. Well,
truly
we're gonna go
is
ahead and
the
bring
top
our
of the specimen.
last guest. It's true. Well, for now. Let's see what what's up next.
Thank you, Lava Soldier. Thank you.
Sure.
And bringing in his editing pad. What a champ.
Yeah, we
Yes,
got the whole
I'm-
editing pad in here. So,
I-
Kuku,
The
what exactly
iPad Pro
inspired you
Max.
to become the iPad Pro Max Master, the editing and music mixer man himself?
I
Yes.
don't know. I just seems something I'm capable of doing, because I always like other people doing the chatting, because it's always interesting to hear what other people say. So I might as well help out by putting in some pizzazz, always in an intro and exit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's well appreciated, Kuku. Now, on to the murder topic at hand. What is your favorite way to play murder as a bystander?
Bystander mostly matters the mood of everybody else. If everyone else is like talking or being just doing other things, usually I would just hang around with them or talk. The usual case, I'd always go try to find my clues.
What about murder? What's your favorite way to be the bad guy?
I have many tactics, really. So, I mean, you mostly usually find all the clues, go for it, or just go for it, or just wait it out, or act, or just silently kill everyone when I'm alone with someone. Where a knife is, and I quickly just put the knife back.
Now, I know I've made a lot of jokes about this with you, but as far as quest lag is concerned, what is your opinion on how much that actually affects the game?
So it matters who's the one attacking, defending, and who has the first glimpse. If I'm like have my guard down, or if I'm just going out and the detective sees me or the murderer sees me, they're usually the ones to get me. But if I'm intentionally going after them, I see them first, and I'm just going for it, I'm usually the one who succeeds in retrospect. But like mostly matters who's going for it and who's not. Because if as I said before, if I went for it with intention and have my lines set up for it, I usually get it. If I'm not, well, I die.
Do you think using a quest brings you an unfair advantage in the game?
Um, as I said, it gives you the disadvantage and the advantage. It just matters the time, how it's going, and the situation. It can be overpowered, or it can really just bring you down very far.
Well, as long as it's balanced, I suppose, which how you make it sound, it does seem so, no matter how many times I complain. Well, it is about that
Just
time.
a very
It's
much lack of question.
1:17 a.m. over here in the
Yeah,
EST
I'll
clock.
try and come up with some better like genres to touch on next
Well, we
time.
have plenty of time in the world to talk. Anyhow, ladies and
Yes, we do,
gentlemen, it has
Pev.
been a wonderful night with me, Pev, our co-hosts, Con and Galaxy, and our many wonderful guests we've had on the show. Be sure to like, comment, and just kidding. Though, if boy. I'm not saying no.
Pev,
And
you're
then we will
almost
see
forgetting
next
about our
time
sponsor.
oh yes, Galaxy. Why don't you share our sponsor?
Okay, sponsor Pear and Pear, the company that makes better Apple products. They take Apple products, sell them to black market people, but better. Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah, they're not very.
All right,
They're
everybody.
not very.
Really needed the cash.
Yeah, they're not very bright when it comes to that. They're just kind of bad. All right.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, so
I'm outta here.
wait, Pev. I feel like if we end it, we should end it by saluting the camera.
If you want, we can.
I
And
think
the
that'd be
music's-
like the best way to.
edit this.
I
It's
can
a
edit it.
podcast. That's the fun of it. You don't need to edit it. You just start it and stop it. Right about now. There we go. Good night.
Good night, world.
Good night, Pev.